In today's video, we have a massive tropical update to go over with you guys. We do have Tropical Storm Fiona out there in the Atlantic that we do need to talk about. A potential threat for the United States, either the Gulf or the East Coast. Not really a guarantee, obviously. You can never guarantee those types of things, but it is our biggest chance yet. So we need to watch it closely. We do have some big storminess upcoming, and also a big Arctic blast for the eastern United States in the longer range. Let's just take a look here at our current radar imagery quickly. As you can see, we do have some storminess here around for the Rockies up through the Cascades. Some of that is going on. We also see quite a bit of storminess up here in the north central United States. Definitely worth noting that in these areas we do have a bit of a storm system up here. And then for the Gulf states down below, we have some storminess and also offshore of the East Coast. Now, let's just zoom into some different regions. Obviously, it doesn't appear like anything major is ongoing at this point. We do have some showery activity up here for the Cascades. Down here in Idaho, Montana, and Oregon. We do have some showers around and about. We see near the Oregon and Idaho border some heavier thunderstorms potentially happening in there. As we take a look at Wyoming, Colorado, and the Dakotas there, as well as Nebraska, we see a couple of interesting things happening here. First off, Wyoming, some heavier rainfall in some spots. Same story with Nebraska there. Lighter showers in between. It's all associated with a storm system up there that we'll talk about in just a minute. But I think the most interesting thing happening that I just noticed is we see some snow mixing in there for the southern Rockies there in Colorado. Very, very interesting stuff, obviously. Definitely some lighter precipitation, but definitely some flakes falling, it appears. Obviously, just to the west of Denver. I feel like I've said obviously about 18 times in the past 5 minutes, but just bear with me. We can see that there is some storminess here in the upper Midwest, in the Great Lakes. We see some of this going on up here. Lighter greens, darker greens, all the way up to yellows and even oranges happening here. Minnesota seeing the most of this as a low is scraping by north in Canada here. And we're seeing just some lighter to moderate precipitation down below associated with that. Now for the Gulf states, we see that there is plenty of storminess happening in here. These tropical thunderstorms here with that Gulf moisture definitely leading towards some heavier downpours if these are to come on shore. You can expect that potentially in the afternoon hours today we will see some storminess more onshore. That seems to be a daily occurrence for these regions. We can see that offshore of the southeast we have also a lot of storminess, a little bit more persistent out here. Definitely thunderstorms north of the Bahamas there and just offshore of Florida. More showery the further north you go. Those have been in place for quite a while now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at some modeled guidance for the upcoming storminess, the upcoming below normal temperatures that are on the way, and also that tropical storm. Now here we are taking a look at some of this upcoming storminess, actually ongoing storminess on this frame. We see some of that up there, some of this activity down there to the southeast. We can see that by the time we reach tomorrow afternoon, this is going to be the look. We have some storminess up top, some more snowfall to speak of, actually, which is pretty interesting as well. So snowfall is going to be happening for quite a few different states. We see some of this happening here for Montana and Wyoming in there, and then also down in Colorado still as well. I can't confirm if Utah, Washington, or Oregon are seeing any of that, but I can say that I do see some of that going on for Montana and Wyoming at least. We do see some storminess over top here for some of the Great Lakes and upper Midwest, and still the southeast activity here as well. By the time we reach Saturday, which will be the 17th of September, we see that this storminess all kind of comes together, although it's pretty scattered, but we can see this type of a shape of storminess going on. We see some areas of low pressure down here for Nevada, also in Colorado, and up here in Canada, we see some of that going on as well. So there's just some broad low pressure. We see for Sunday, which will be September 18th, we see plenty of storminess happening up here in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast again on this frame. A much more major looking storm system approaching Northern California. Pretty interesting. And this time of year that does tend to happen. Some of our first snowstorms in the west usually start out like that. And then again, for the southeast, we have some more storminess ongoing still. Let's just continue this one onward towards Monday, which will be the 19th of September. We can see that storm system approaching here, still bringing some storminess for the coastal regions of California there. Across the south here of the United States, we see plenty of that storminess. And also up there for Canada, 998 millibar low pressure center up here. bringing some snowfall to the Canadian Rockies there. And then we also see a weaker low here in the northeast, also bringing some storminess there. We see our low down here. This is our tropical system has kind of moved in. And this likely is going to either curve out to sea. It could scrape up the east coast, or it could head into the Gulf. It could do pretty much anything at this point, and we really want to watch that one closely. We do have a cone forecast to show you guys at the end because this one is a named storm now. Tuesday, September 20th, we do see another bit of snowfall moving down into Montana. So snowfall is going to start to happen over and over and over again here as we approach into the fall time, into the heart of the fall time. And this is usually when, this time of year and then the spring is usually when the Rockies see their most snowfall. We see that there is some storminess in the eastern United States, but nothing compared to what we were seeing weeks ago. We see some scattered about activity, but we were seeing widespread activity for a long time there in a lot of August into early September. As we reach Wednesday, the 21st, we could see this stronger low, 985 up here, has a secondary low down here as well, is bringing a cold front. Something like this, we could see that really, really cold air flooding in just like this. Behind it, we see some snowfall up there in Canada, a ridge in this area, just like that. So we have warm air moving in behind it, squeezing this cold air, forcing it to shove its way in. And we're going to see this really violently cool down these regions in the east. This is that really big cool down. For Thursday, which will be the 22nd here, we see this low, 982 millibar low pressure center up here, 990 something millibar low pressure center right there. I can't really see it. But we have this cold front just like this. And the cold air is really trying to center itself over the eastern United States by this point, blasting down from the Arctic regions. We see this tropical system weak, but there for the Bahamas, very, very weak. And if this trough moves in, it's going to allow for that tropical system to potentially scrape along the coast. It needs to hurry up, though, if that was to take place, but it looks like it stalls out, which would be really, really good news. We have a giant ridge out west and a big old trough in the east here, bringing that cold air down, but really you would be feeling the cold temperatures all the way down here. This is where near freezing conditions are at, though. So for a lot of Michigan, we're very close, and there's a lot of precipitation happening, very, very close to snowfall. Some nighttime snowfall cannot be ruled out for these regions if we get really, really deep Arctic air moving in. And even, so close. Yeah, I would say this is very close to having some mixing here in the northeast as well. Friday into Saturday, that'd be the 23rd to the 24th. Very, very early season, though. That would be incredibly early, I would say, for those regions. Usually you have to wait at least a couple more weeks for any sort of talk about potential snowfall, maybe even a month from now. We see that for the Rockies, we're still seeing some storminess here. This is the end of the model run, so we're going to hurry up here, but we do see that there is some storminess still lingering on, so the Rockies will be getting more activity. And then we see this low pressure center, this tropical system really intensifying. That's a 982 millibar low pressure center, but it is a fish storm at this point, but probably a hurricane. So this tropical storm Fiona might be Hurricane Fiona, but the models are pointing at it staying offshore at this point, but that could quickly change. So we're going to track it daily. Be sure to tune in daily, as we will track that daily. Here is the temperature pattern, and we're just going to briefly go over this. We do have some colder temperatures over the eastern and western United States with warmth in between. There's always got to be warmth somewhere. As we continue this on, we can see what's going to end up setting up is a trough in the west and a ridge in the east. We see primarily cold temperatures out here, which will be a negative PNA, and what this does is it forces the warm air to head around that cold air mass, which happens to be the eastern United States here. Very, very warm temperatures there. And those stick around, but here's that cold front coming through. You can literally see where that cold front is, just like this. And that is unleashing this cold air in right behind it and allowing that to enter into the eastern United States. That's going to be, this is Wednesday the 21st, Thursday the 22nd, and then Friday the 23rd, we can see it's moved in. We do have a bit of a ridge trying to hold on here for the Gulf states and Southeast states, but this is frigid. Again, we saw some snowfall up here in Canada, so this is nearly freezing temperatures. And if not really freezing temperatures for some spots, this is going to bring some cold nights for a lot of folks, especially the further north you go. Again, I mentioned up there in Canada, it's especially going to be obviously cold up there compared to the United States, but some mountainous regions and also just some of the very far northern folks up there, we could be seeing some very cold temperatures with this. We can see it fully sets in for the eastern United States by the time we're reaching deep into that weekend. It could be a cold weekend, that 23rd into the 25th. Which will be Friday through the Sunday that weekend. The final weekend of September there might be quite cold compared to normal. Definitely something to pay attention to. These range are 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So if your average temperature is 79, you're actually at 69 or more below normal, potentially as low as 64. So really, really interesting. That could bring some October or November-like temperatures for some folks, depending on where you're at. And it's even further below normal here for a lot of these mountainous regions here in the Northeast. And those areas obviously average colder temperatures as well. So those things combined all lead me to believe this could bring some really, really cold temperatures, early season cold. Now, total precipitation through the next 10 days is looking mild here. We see a lack of precipitation there for the south, especially the southeast, where we usually have a ton. Outside of Florida, we're seeing barely an inch, hardly an inch. We see anywhere in the whites are expecting no precipitation. Your grays will be a tenth of an inch or less of precipitation. Very, very dry for those folks. Your greens will be a tenth of an inch to half an inch, which is at least something, much more than most of the southeast and the south central is seeing. And then we see the blues will be half an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be an inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then we don't even have any browns over the United States at all. That would have been 5 to 10 inches of precipitation, but we don't see any of that. Very dry for everywhere, but especially these areas in the east that average a ton. It's very interesting to see practically none. Now, here's the total snowfall. We can see that actually, as I underline it, it looks like there could be some snowfall there that this model is hinting at for the Adirondacks and the White Mountains, which is extremely intriguing because that is very early season. We see a lot of this lighter amounts of snowfall that happens up here in Canada, eastern Canada. This is very early for those folks as well to be seeing some snowfall. And then for the Rockies, we see quite a bit of states included here. Obviously, the Canadian Rockies seeing a lot more there, where they're seeing over a foot of snowfall potentially for those mountain peaks. Down here in the United States, it might be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall for some of those mountain peaks, maybe above 6 inches, but mostly just a dusting for some folks, even some lower elevation regions. Obviously, everywhere in the Rockies is kind of high elevation, but the areas that aren't on the mountain peaks, some more of the mid to lower elevations there, could be seeing some snowfall as well, flakes at least. Now, here is our 5-day, or not our 5-day, actually this is just going to be our cone forecast for Fiona, because we don't have any other systems to track. Here it is. As you can see, Fiona is expected to stay a tropical storm all the way through this forecast, all the way. It's going to probably head towards Puerto Rico and go right over Puerto Rico as a tropical storm, skirt along that northern coast of Dominican Republic, and then turn northward towards the Bahamas. Now, it's a big question mark if it's going to continue on a pretty westerly track or if it's just going to curve north towards Bermuda. That's the big question mark. It can really go anywhere in this cone, and even it can go outside of the cone, I will tell you. It should go inside the cone, though. That's the idea, is that we're predicting any possibility here, at least the National Hurricane Center is. I think they go a little bit thin with their cones sometimes. Sometimes we see these storms like to really move out of them a little bit, but they do a really, really good job. It's a really good chance that this will stay within the cone. And they have it pretty wide there at the end, where it could go pretty far south in the Bahamas to where it's trajecting towards the United States. So definitely something to be watched. Be sure to subscribe as we'll watch this daily. Tune in with us every day. We will track these tropical systems, not only this one, but every single one throughout the hurricane season, and hopefully hurricane seasons to come. Also, be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next video.